Okay, I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to Basket of Cats.
Did you know one time Chuck E. Cheese mouths punched me in the face when I was little?
What a way to start.
They did, and I was thinking about it last night.
Tell me about this.
I was just at a birthday party for a friend, and you know how Chuck E. Cheese comes out, and he's like, I'm Chuck E. Cheese. I was like, being the little shit I was like, you're not a real mouse. You're not a real mouse. You're a costume mouse.
And this is not a good day for
and
this.
he pushed me down and hit me. I was a child.
Okay.
Or she. I don't know who was in the costume.
Now, that's bad. It's not good that they did that. But can I say one thing?
I deserved it.
Can I say one thing? It's nice to know that the Chuck E. Cheese at that particular establishment took their job seriously.
I mean, could you imagine if they cared?
That was an art school student. That was someone who was like, I am Chuck E. Cheese right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you broke the fourth wall, and they were like, not in this theater. Not in my beautiful theater.
Theater.
To
be fair, they did try a lot of times to be like, you know, like to make little movements and be like, okie dokie. Like, you know what I mean? Because they don't talk.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't let it go. And they were giving out, you know, their pizza or whatever that is to people. And the kids were having a great time.
Slop.
And I was just like, you're not real. You're a fucking thing.
I mean, it makes so much sense with you.
I know.
That makes so much sense. Do you know what Chuck E. Cheese, what the full name is for Chuck E. Cheese?
No.
Charles Entertainment Cheese. That's the full name.
Oh. Why do you know that?
I learned that when I was while you were belittling the mouse. I was learning facts. I was learning the history. I was going into the archives.
You're Cheese 101.
If you go behind the ball pit, there's the Chuck E. Cheese archives with all the kids that died there.
I like that you think I was ever in the ball pit and not fully trying to claim every ticket I could find.
Oh yeah, you were a ticket. You were a ticket.
I wanted
grubber.
everything. I couldn't understand. I was like, I need 4 billion tickets to get this lip gloss. I don't understand. I need these bubbles.
A big moment, and this isn't going to be a funny thing, but it is true, and you know, truth is very important. One of the biggest things of regret in my life still. Do you have a thing from childhood? They obviously logically know. I was like I was a little kid. There's no reason to be still like mortified about this, but I am still mortified about it. Being born and then everything after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was rough.
When I was at Chuck E. Cheese, I was 6 or 7. I didn't get enough tickets for the certain toy. And my mom was like, oh, yeah, it looks like I didn't get enough tickets. And I cried and I screamed and I threw a fit. And then she reluctantly was like, how much to pay for it? And she paid for it. Still to this day, I think I have problems with money and spending money stemming from that moment. Because I saw my mom be like, yeah, okay, I'll just pay the $20 for this, like, 2-cent.
Kazoo.
Yeah, kazoo. Literally, like, 2-cent kazoo. From that day on, I literally think I still have trouble spending money.
I mean, that could be true.
I think it's true.
I mean, I have lots of trouble from things in my past, so I think that makes sense. We all have a bad core memory.
Chuck
a rotten
E. Cheese.
Memory.
Imagine if you took together all of like the trauma that kids experienced at Chuck E. Cheese and put it together, it could fill a football
Especially
stadium.
the ones that were taken.
Oh, yeah.
That's some real trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I always liked about Chuck E. Cheese, but I never got to experience?
Go ahead.
Was that little tiny door. You know how they had a door for adults and then a small door for kids?
Oh, yeah.
I never got to go to the kid door.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, it really was. That's why I said it.
I'm sorry
Don't
about that.
mock me and my...
No, that's really...
You know what I'm learning about you?
Yeah,
a
go
lot.
ahead, please.
But the other day, I realized that I don't know a lot about your... like who you are as a human being.
Sure.
Like outside of seeing you in a certain context.
Sure.
Like the other day I called you for a business meeting and you said, oh, I'm going to call you right back. I have to finish this soup. And I was like...
You remember that?
And I was like, okay. I love soup and I was never involved in any kind of soup plan. And I love soup. Have you heard the TikTok? Gorgeous girls love soup.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, it's a big thing. Big thing.
So you're upset that I left you out of
No,
eating...
I just thought it was weird that you were eating it in the middle of the day before our call.
I needed sustenance.
What kind of soup was it? If you say rice soup, I'm going to punch you in the head.
It was lentils and rice.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's not a soup.
It is a soup.
That's porridge.
I do
That's
call
what
it.
Tiny Tim wanted.
I called it a peasant's meal.
Porridge.
It is absolutely a peasant's meal, but that's what I like. I live
That's what I like.
in many ways. I've realized this just so you can get another little glimpse in me. I very much enjoy a life that is like the simplest shit. I've realized makes me the happy. Like I could cook a big meal for myself. But literally eating that meal, just rice and lentils, and knowing that I have the whole day ahead of me and it didn't take me a lot of time to do that, that makes me happy. I am happy about that.
You have a type of spiritual awareness that I do not have.
I don't think it's spiritual awareness. I think I'm just a fucking simple dumbass.
I mean, I don't think that's how you come off. But
oh, that's nice.
I think that it is very interesting that you were like, gotta get this suit down before my big call.
Well, yeah, I gotta have a full belly.
You went from soup to contracts just like that.
Never sign a contract hungry. That's what they always say.
That's what Tiny Tim says.
Did he say that?
He said, please, pour it.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, me.
He had a business meeting after that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was trying
to take over Christmas.
He was trying to do a hostile takeover of Christmas.
That's what he was doing. I did find that very funny about you. I also don't know, I actually wrote down some things I don't know about you.
No.
Yeah.
This is my nightmare.
Yeah, I didn't understand. That was really different to me. I also, do you play an instrument?
Little guitar, little piano.
So, yes,
Nothing
I knew
serious.
the fucking answer was yes.
Just a little bit.
I'm putting that on my livid list.
Okay, that makes you mad.
Mm-hmm. Because
like
I don't know how to play an instrument. I wanted to be able to play. Let me tell you about me.
Go ahead.
I wanted to play the piano, but we couldn't really do that where I lived or anything. And then I was like, you know what instrument I really want to play? Like I was obsessed with playing.
Where you're from is called the piano.
Yeah, the piano.
It's the piano.
And then I bought a flute because of American Pie because I loved Alison Hannigan. And I begged my parents to buy a flute.
What a funny reason to buy a flute.
Could not play the flute, never used the flute, but I was Alison Hannigan.
That is so... Well, do you know after Top Gun, like the first Top Gun came out, the admission to the Air Force went up like crazy? Like, so many people joined the Air Force after Top Gun that it had to, like, essentially had to be correlated.
And what she did in American Pie was just as cool.
Just as cool. I do really wonder, now that you said that, so many people must have bought a flute after that. We're so probably. Simple. Yeah, it's so funny.
I did buy a flute. And then I was like, no, you know what instrument I would be obsessed with playing? I couldn't stop thinking about it. A cello. I was like,
why?
Because it would make me look so small. It's a huge instrument. It's a huge instrument, and then also it's just like it's the biggest, saddest instrument.
It's just the most
sad, because the violin is sad too, but this is big. You have to move your whole body to play a cello. It's so much sadness. Or a harp. A harp is a big instrument too, but it doesn't block as much as your body of a cello.
This is the most vain reason to learn an instrument.
Or is it body dysmorphia? You tell me.
Maybe Yo-Yo Ma is just like, I feel whittle. That's why he likes playing the cello. He's like, I'm whittle.
I mean, there's so many things I'll do to look smaller in a photo. I make people stand further in front of me.
Really?
I'm like, you get in front of me a little bit.
That's interesting.
Why would I want to look huge in a picture?
Well, you're not going to look huge in a picture.
I do.
I don't think so.
Yes.
No.
If you look in the monitor right now, well, no, actually, I set this up to where our heads look the same size. But for a long time, I felt like I had a bigger head in a lot of the videos, and I was like, this will not work.
But I will say this: I do have a big head. Also, we both have pretty big heads.
Great, that worked. That's so good for my therapy session.
See, this is the opposite of what my fear always is. Where if you get me flanked by two guys who are over 6 feet, like if you get me flanked by 2 6'4" guys, I look so little because I'm wide. Like I'm 5'10", but I'm like really wide. So I look shorter just optically. So if you get a picture of
illusion.
Me, I am an illusion. I'm an optical illusion. So if you get a picture of me with like 2 6'4" guys, it's like, oh, that must be their adopted kid right there. That must be their little adopted son.
Happening.
Maybe
you look like a tank.
I have too much of a mustache for that. Maybe.
Yeah, they're like, that is a. You see like that little vampire girl that hid in the house? Is that an orphan situation?
It makes me so happy you just called me a tank. That's the best. That's awesome.
See, that would ruin my day. When someone says, hey, big fella, I want to fucking die. I want to, that or anytime someone does that or they make some kind of reference to my size and gender like that, I'm like, I'm going to punch you in the head.
Yeah.
It makes me so livid.
It's a real 1-2 punch. Big
because
fella
I'm like, just think of just say hello. Anything else would work.
That's like an awkward trait of a lot. I had to stop doing this. I don't know where the fuck it came from. And I had to make a concern. This is a big part of my life that I had to stop.
Was it saying buddy?
I still say buddy.
I know.
I still say buddy.
You hit me with one of those the other day, and I was like, he's never heard my stand-up about this, has he?
Oh, you have a joke about buddy?
I hate it.
What's wrong with buddy?
To me, it's like straight guys reminding you that you're just friends. And buddy.
No. This is a Massachusetts thing.
Okay,
this is where I'm like, hey, what's up, buddy?
Say.
What's up, buddy? Like it's very much a term of endearment to me.
People say it to everyone. Not everyone's your buddy.
I don't say buddy to everybody. I say it to like people that I like. I say it to people that I'm trying to like, hey, what's up, buddy? Like it's nothing like. And when I say it, it does kind of go into a little bit of a Massachusetts accent, but it's like, hey, what's up, buddy? I used to say guy. That used to be mine. What's up, guy?
You ever heard guys say, that's my man?
Oh, yeah.
Who's man?
That's awesome. These are awesome. See, you don't like the beautiful minutia of Americana.
No, I want people to... This is what I want.
Go ahead.
Don't talk. Don't talk to me. Just don't say anything.
That's nice.
And then if you need me, excuse me. That's all I want.
You do not have the hair for don't talk to me, by the way.
Yes, I do.
That is not don't talk to me
Cactuses
hair.
look like this, and nobody talks to them.
I talk to cactuses. They sometimes
You
look
don't
like a little
touch 'em?
guy. No, you don't touch them.
That's right.
That's fair. But I had to stop doing this. When there was like a short guy, like a guy under like 5'7" or whatever. I swear I would do this.
This is making me nervous.
I feel so bad. I would call them big dog.
Oh, I've seen that happen so many times.
What's up, big dog? And it's so demeaning. It's so rude. But it was just like stuck in my head because when I was smaller, people would call me big dog. So I think it just like stuck in my head, and I would just call them big dog.
Yeah.
And I caught myself doing it, and I was like, I have to stop. This is so rude.
You're right. Like, people called me queer growing up. So now when I see, I'm like, hey, queer. What's up, queer?
Yeah.
Very similar.
Right. Yeah.
The big one for me, people used to go, bitten gay.
What?
That's the stupidest thing. I was like, that's not even a funny joke. You just rhymed 2 words.
Oh, because Ray and gay.
Yeah, it took me a minute,
interesting. Yeah, I'm not as smart as a fucking 7-year-old.
never mind.
Yeah.
Oh no, we were in the 12th grade. We were very intelligent. Thank you.
That was the thing. I made a video about like the Florida Don't Say Gay bill, which is the first time I ever got like massive hate online or whatever, but it was basically just a personal story where I was like, when I was like young in like the 3rd grade or whatever, that's when kids started calling each other gay. And then people in the comments were like, that's too young, like kids don't call each other gay then, like they don't know anything. And I was like, in my school I distinctly remember kids were calling each other gay.
I was being called gay in the 3rd grade and didn't even know what they were talking about.
They
called my Animorphs movie gay one time, and I was like, I don't even know
how
if
dare they
gay.
What the fuck, they did that?
Yeah.
That's a hate crime.
Well, all of it was, really, I think.
But that one sticks
honestly,
with me.
It could be very small, and I'm like, hate crime.
Your Animorphs movie?
Yes.
You made it?
No, the TV show.
Yeah, the TV show. That's
and
what
I took it to school because it was my turn to bring the movie to school.
I thought maybe you had shot like an homage to the Animorphs.
If I had the budget.
If only you had the budget.
If only I had the budget in the 3rd grade, I would have been doing wild and you could not believe the stories I could have whipped up. What's my other question for you?
How fun.
Also, are your teeth real? Because they look like they're made of fondant.
They look like they're made of what?
They're very straight. Fondant?
Oh, that's very nice. No, I had braces, and you know what's funny? I just had a table read with a bunch of actors, right? And I won't say for the I can't say for the project, but I noticed something where it's like comedians always say, "Hey, you have nice teeth." Like the comedians will often compliment that, and I really appreciate it. But then I went to a table read with fucking actors. Their teeth don't even look real.
Well, they're not real.
They're not. I guess
porcelain.
not. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Who are you going to play who has teeth that look like that? A robot?
Yes.
Are you going to... What are you going to play?
Actually,
an
anyone
alien?
in imaginary Hollywood. That's how people look on TV.
It's so... Yeah, but that really clicked in my head because I guess on TV you don't really like make the connection because you are like, oh, this is all fantasy. But then you see those people in real life and it's like, who the fuck are you going to play with those teeth?
I felt like when I always felt like I got compliments on my teeth, and then when I moved here,
You
I
have
was
good
like,
teeth,
I was like, wait a minute. These teeth are little tiny plastic bags.
Oh my God. Why did we get into teeth?
Also, I love that you were like, I have a table read.
Yeah, I had a table
with
read.
actors, as if it would be with other people.
Well, because sometimes...
And then you're like, shh, I can't tell you what it is.
I'll say this because a lot of comedians will work on projects, like acting projects, but with other comics. That's why I was making the distinction.
And you said there ain't no other comic.
No. This is a real one.
This right here, this is just me.
Some comics are like the best actors, and I'm like, no, they were real actors.
Yeah, you were like, it was me. I'm the only comedian here.
It was just me.
We were talking about your teeth being fake, but I also, we have a group topic today, per usual. You know, one time I got high and I put croutons on crackers, and I thought I was living the dream.
You put croutons
on crackers and ate them. And I was like, this is so delicious.
Did any middle layer? Anything in between?
No.
Nothing separated crouton and cracker. You were bread on bread.
Mm-hmm. Then I thought it was a moment. And now when I think back at it, I'm like, that's so stupid.
You should be put in a government database.
For what?
You should be
having the crunchiest snacks?
You should be put in an FBI watch list for that. for what you just said.
It
you
was
put
really good when you're high.
loose croutons on a cracker?
Yeah.
There's no solidity to that snack.
It's just dry cereal.
Oh my God.
Or something like that, very similar. Anyways, our shared topic today is, what do you think people's obsession with serial killers is?
Well, that's actually a great lead-in, because if people who put croutons on crackers should be, again, watched by the police for being serial killers.
You know what? Never say never.
Never say never.
That's what Justin Bieber taught me.
Well, number one, we can both agree on this probably, the fear of it. Because, like, what we're afraid of, we're interested in. It's kind of like a very human thing, is we're sort of, in a weird way, drawn to our fears.
Who?
Everyone. Like,
no. If I'm afraid of something, I don't need to know about it, see about it, look about it.
Well, you're in the minority. I say this based on the fact that, like, you look at local news and stuff, and they're covering all the most horrible stuff that's happened in the town.
But that's to spook you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we like to be. That's what keeps people tuned in. It's what keeps people involved.
That scares me, because
yes.
I'm scared of aliens and dinosaurs, but I'm scared of aliens, and people want to talk about aliens all the time, and I'm like, not I.
Yeah.
I don't need you believe. You keep on. I'm going to be over here. If they're real or not, I don't need to know. I don't need to see. I don't need to hear about it. When people post, like, have you seen this spaceship? I'm like, I didn't need to see the spaceship.
Yeah, it's a weird fascination.
That's how I feel about serial killers.
It's a very weird fascination. And I'll also say, I think with before we go any further, this is coming up because of, like, the Dahmer series that came out, right? Like, the most recent one?
No, I mean, I guess. It came up for me because when I was picking out group topics, I was, like, looking through Netflix at night, and there's just a whole section on serial killers.
Yes.
And then 4 out of the 5 of those movies are about Dahmer, and I'm like, there's no more information. We have nothing else to tell. Unless you get a new story, stop telling me this one.
Well, I think, so...
There's just so many killer
shows.
The
vast majority of, like, murder... I forget what the three reasons are, but there's like 3 main reasons. It's
gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
Dude, the girl boss murderers are some of the most dangerous.
They're the ones you don't know about.
You don't know about them, no, because they keep a clean trail. Mm-hmm. Their fingernails
because they
are clean.
Got a girl covering it up. Mm-hmm. Girls on girls.
Real CEO energy. Mm-hmm. So. It's like crimes of passion. It's like something involving money or, like, financial gain or whatever. So any murder that falls out of the, like, most common reason, which is just like an impulse or a mental, like, a predilection towards murder, is very interesting to people, because we're like, well, we don't have that. This is a different thing. So it combines 2 things. It combines, like, danger and fear, and it also combines, like, kind of, I won't say maybe, like, it's not like a grotesque. Well, I guess it is kind of a grotesque human interest. No. I don't think, like, I'm saying the interest in it. Like, I don't think it's necessarily grotesque.
It's sick and freaky, but, like, also everything is.
I guess that's the way to look at it.
I mean, you could honestly say having interesting care pairs is a little sick and freaky.
Yeah,
because it's just why. There's a lot. Psychology of anything is a sick and freaky.
Why do you
medical
think?
Term? I do think. Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously the same reason. I think people just like to be close to danger without experiencing danger.
Yes.
And also I think that we think that somehow will prevent us from being a part of the danger. Like, if you know about serial killers, or if you know about these murders, then you won't make the same mistakes as if it was like a movie.
Right.
And also there's adrenaline involved, which is why I watch scary movies, because the adrenaline feels great.
Yes.
And it's very hard to, like, create the adrenaline you feel when you're scared is you really can't create it any other way. That's why people go to haunted houses or like see scary movies, because you can't get that feeling other way, and it's like it's a natural high that also is really traumatizing. But I found it really interesting that there's so many movies about like the same serial killer and documentaries and all this stuff, but we hear very little from, like, victims' families,
or and that's the
victim
issue.
Story, or like because you know the documentary, which this is not about people, so it's a little different. But Don't Fuck with Cats. Did you watch that?
Yes.
So that obviously is not about a person, but the human beings involved around that were so much more interesting than the tragic event.
Yes.
And so, like, I always think, like, what, like, because there's a lot of shows about survivors that we don't, like, showcase. But whenever we do, like, the rare occasions when we do, like, the R. Kelly thing or something like that, those documentaries are, like, way more insightful and way more like, if you do want to avoid something, you're getting way more information there than you are from hearing about the inside of a killer.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think it's even if people say that's the reason. I don't think it's really because they want to avoid the situation. Because if they were to dig deep into it, they would see that the chances of them being murdered by a serial killer, as opposed to being, first of all, the chances of being murdered very low. No matter where you are, even if you are in like a very high crime rate place.
Also, just getting to tell their story is obviously very important as well. But that's also like, to me, their story is a more realistic depiction of the situation than the fantasized one or dramatized one of a killer.
But this is where we get into this interesting other reason. So I gave like the one reason of like fear. This is another reason. I think it's this weird, specifically American, like dom sub shit going on where it's like
as everything,
as is everything. But I think there is this weird, like when it comes to people who are really fascinated by this, it's this thing where it's like, this person is the ultimate, like, I can kill whoever I want, like the fucking evil side of the cowboy, right? It's like,
you mean the killers or the listeners?
The killers.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And then the victims are obviously like thrown into this situation through no like fault of their own. They did nothing to do this. It's a completely like unwarranted incident, and I think it's just a very interesting setup for a lot of people that like at any moment this could happen to me. Whereas if you like, let's say you watch a documentary about a hitman, like that would be pretty interesting, but I don't think it grasps people the same way, because a lot of people are like, well, I would never be in debt with the mob, I would never be involved in crime, so this is so much more separate than me. But the fact that a serial killer will target anyone means that everyone is involved in the story. Right, so it adds a level of connection.
I mean, I think that telling the stories are like, that's whatever. People can tell the stories, of course, but I think that like when we're going to dramatize them and stuff, it's really odd to me how like no one ever like contacts the victims' families, give them any sort of payment for it. Right. I'm like, we're just using this trauma over and over and over.
Right,
like,
it's
very strange, that part. I'm just like, if you're going to do it, at least. And ask people that it actually affected.
Get a little phone call going.
Just phone a friend.
Phone a friend.
I mean, that gets a little wonky to me, but I do think that the appeal of it is just like the danger and the mystery and the like, how could this happen to someone? Because it is so like. So the thing with serial killers is it's so like, it's the closest thing to like a fantasy killer, like a demon or a monster, because it's like it's consistent and it goes on, and it's like, how is this person getting away with this? And it's like the real boogeyman kind of. And so I think that. Seeing that happen in real life, people are like, oh my God, like I have to know about this because this can't be real. And then when you see it, you're like, well, does this happen a lot? And you get further and further down the
monsters under the bed exist. Yeah, one of those.
They're just outside at the Kroger.
They're outside at the
or wherever, not Kroger. Sorry,
monsters at the Kroger.
I just allegedly, I just picked a place.
You just picked a random place. Yeah, no, it is kind of. I mean, I'll be honest. You watch like those things from time to time, and it's fine, and it's like, yeah, human interest, but the people are like really upset. That it seems like kind of sicko shit to me.
I mean, you have your hobby, you little sicko.
You have your hobbies.
I mean, as long as if it keeps you from killing, you do it.
It's like what you said with like the families of these people, and these were real people, and to use it as this sort of like weird, twisted.
Yeah,
like,
at least give them something out of it. At least I mean, that would never obviously amount to what they lost, but like if you're gonna do that, they should at least get compensation.
Yeah, they get a Jeffrey Dahmer beer koozie.
Yeah, give them money. People want money. You want money. That's why you're doing the story.
A little bit of merchandise. They give those glasses as merchandise. They're like, yeah, we're selling.
A signed poster of Evan Peters. And him going, it just says, whoopsie.
All right, we're going to get a picture now. Hold the poster. Please stop crying. Can you stop crying real quick? We got to get a poster.
That's exactly what they're, I was like, what the fuck? And they mark it. And then you drive all over LA or place, and there's just billboards of it. Like, remember the horror. You're like, I mean, I do. I lived through it.
Okay, this is kind of like.
That's not even funny.
Picking up what we talked, the difference between like the image of inclusion and actual inclusion. And like, I think that bleeds into the image of like retelling us. Because the whole thing about the Dahmer. The new thing is like, we actually took this and included everything. We didn't just paint him out to just be a pure monster. We included parts of his mental health issues and like the fact that you could have stopped the murders if you had treated, and that's all fine. Like that,
but it is wild. It's like in shows when they like, whenever like the sexual assault or the person or like the rapist or like the bad person, trigger warning, or like the bad person or whatever does the what am I trying to say? Like,
Go ahead.
like in shows where they have like a rapist or a bad person, they always make him like hot or really attractive.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, that's weird. It's a weird choice. Like, it's weird to make the audience like be attracted to the thing happening. It's like very messed up.
It is. It's all weird stuff.
Or to try. I mean, I guess they're not attractive.
It's similar, but you have this like, okay, we took all this precaution, blah blah blah, and then they put the documentary out, and then the victims' families are like, we didn't want to see this,
right.
Especially not like. So it's like this image of like, oh, we considered everything, and then you actually put it out, and it's like really, literally doing like what emotional, if you want to call it emotional harm. That's a weird way to put it, but it's like you're literally not. It's the same thing as the Pamela Anderson thing that came out, where they're like, no, we're telling it from like Pam's side, and this is like a feminist.
And she was like, I hate you.
Yeah, and she was like, I hate this. Don't do this to me. But the image, I haven't seen it.
So good.
I didn't see it, but it's like.
But if she didn't like it, I didn't like it.
She didn't.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
It's this image of like we're taking the right steps and doing the right thing, and it's like you're not doing the most basic thing, which is, does this affect the person that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That I'm talking about.
Exactly. And then to cast like Hollywood heartthrobs in it, or like beautiful, you're like, what the fuck? Like, that's what I think. I think about like I mean, there are a lot of shows that like I understand like. TV is TV and fantasy is fantasy. So made up shows that are not about real life events.
Yeah.
I guess you have leeway to cast like whoever to be whatever. But I do think it's odd when shows are geared towards like younger audience or something, and they glamorize like a really gross thing, like sleeping with overage men, or with female teachers being with the student, and you're like, wait a minute.
I understand that, but it's like also every piece of art can't be perfect. There's always going to be someone upset.
Of course.
It. Like. And another thing is like there are instances like it is nice to kind of see a holistic view of everything, where there are shows now where you do see like predatory relationships between older men and younger people, or older people and younger people and stuff like that, and that is cool to see. But I do feel like maybe in some ways we've gotten to a point where we are maybe putting a little bit too much of a scalpel to everything, because there'll be a show with like an whatever. Let's say you make a show and just part of the show is like a 40-year-old guy and a 23-year-old woman or whatever, and everybody would probably get upset at that. But it's like, well, there are instances where this happens and no one is exploited. You know what I mean?
I guess I'm talking more about like shows where they have like teens with like younger, and even the thing.
Yeah,
here's
that's
the thing.
weird.
That's a storyline that you can tell, because that does happen. And it happens.
Oh yeah,
and it's like you can tell that storyline within the setting of a fantasy. I think my point is like if we're gonna be telling stories like that and letting that kind of be okay, then I think we need to be more we need to like shift our empathy and our consciousness about being like, because everything can't be perfect, like you said,
right?
But like when it comes to real life events and real life killers and real life bad things that happen, we can put more emphasis on making sure that is done correctly than worrying about a made up world with made up people who have all made up the story.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I completely. I also, part of me, and a very small part of me, but still a part of me, also gives a little bit of credit to the people. Like, putting together a show is so difficult, and there's so many moving pieces. So to blame it on one person, to blame those sorts of things on like, this is the director's fault, or this is the blah 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 fault.
Right.
It's like,
no,
it's not necessarily. It's more of a holistic thing, and to get like super upset. But I think it's also important to allow those people to make mistakes and be like, hey, you should have checked, and then hopefully the projects we get moving forward do like kind of do their due diligence with that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but
I mean, because there are like people who feel like you can't really touch on any subject, like everything is triggering, and that's a little hard to maneuver around because the world is not really like that.
Yeah.
But I do think, like it's just interesting to see like people get so mad about shows like Euphoria having like showing the kind of stuff they show on there. But those shows are that's a great show. I love it. And there are people really like the show. But online, I would see there's like people would get really back and forth about like if they're glamorizing this bad behavior or not. And I was like, but this isn't the real world. Like, it's not not the TV shows to teach you or to teach your kid.
It is a show for adults.
Yeah.
And adults, you need to expect adults. Geared towards
teens.
What's that?
It's definitely geared towards teens, too.
Is it geared towards?
I think. It's about teenagers in high school. But
I think it is. It's about them, but I think it's more an adult show. Like, it's a show for adults.
Yeah.
I think it's right. It's rating.
It's just so popular. I think it's reached everyone.
Right. But its rating is probably
totally.
So when I look at that stuff, it's like you also do have to. if you're making like a piece of art or whatever, you can't really be like, oh, well, if you're making something for adults, you should assume those adults have the wherewithal to separate this piece of art from the real world. Now,
it's like when people got mad at like poor Miley Cyrus, and they're like, my kids, and it's like, Miley's not raising your kids.
Yeah, she is.
Like, I understand we're influenced by things,
right?
But I mean, you do have to
take your kid to the park. Take them to the park.
Also, I love Miley, so I don't know what she did wrong. What did she do bad?
Of course, nothing ever.
But it's just like, I mean, I think that like with shows like that, I guess my point was it's interesting to see the rage around like complete fantasies that are presented as fantasies.
Yes.
But then to be like, well, I don't understand why they're so mad about us telling this story about this real life thing that happened.
But this is where you get into like the more. Some people say like this is the bad, but I actually think this is interesting. Then you get into the other side of things when you think about these things, where is there underlying messaging here that is negative? And that's not something that you should like, gather up a posse and go burn down the studio or whatever. But it is important to have those discussions because there is shit that does glorify negative behavior, and there is shit where, and that doesn't mean it's like it's destroying our children or what, but it does make it kind of a bad piece of art. Like it takes away from the art being a holistic sort of piece.
Yeah, I could see that, and I do think that. But I mean, and I will say, you 100% can be influenced by things. That is the truth. I mean, I know I watched Degrassi and I did many things that I would not have done, but I thought it was so cool.
I watched a lot of 70s porn, and that's why I look like this.
And see, you mimicked it.
And I mimicked it.
There you go. And my point, you know what? Turn the camera off because the point's made. But like that is true. You can be influenced by things, but I think that like you that applies to everything. You're influenced by everything,
right?
So you can't just wipe things off the face of the earth. Again, I don't know. I never obviously lost anyone and had a TV show made about them like that.
Right.
I've also never been triggered by TV shows in a lot of, I guess, ways that other people have. So I don't know if I'm right or wrong about what I'm saying. You guys let me know. I would love to know. But like I do, these are just the thoughts I have. I'm just like, how do you balance those things out?
Also, there's a lot of things that are like personal that I think a lot of people are aware of this, but for me, I have a very specific thing that's triggering, quote unquote trigger, whatever you want to call it, to me in TV shows, where if there is someone who is special needs, who is like having a hard time or going through a hard time, or like something traumatic is happening to them, I can't watch it. Because I was just in like learning support classes enough, and I've seen that in real life, and I know how like gut-wrenching it is, because those kids already have such a hard time, and when they actually have like a full breakdown or emotional thing, or like life's getting hard for them and they like need to be restrained by people, which I've seen in person, I just can't watch that. That doesn't mean you can't put it in your show. That just means personally I'm not going to watch it when you do.
I mean, I understand that, because I have a really hard time watching like scenes in movies where like an LGBTQ person like commits suicide, or they're bullied to the point like you ever, I think there's some movie where they like turn the hot water on in the locker room and like burn this kid, right? And I was like, that's like a real thing that people, I mean, maybe not to that extreme. I mean, I'm sure it does happen, but like, I mean, that's not something I'm saying I didn't experience that extreme. But the other stuff is like wanting to kill yourself and stuff, like that's like a real feelings.
Sure.
So that is kind of hard to watch. I mean, I guess I can watch it, but it is really difficult. So I can relate to that in that sense. But I also don't expect them to tell me that's going to happen, really.
Right, yeah.
Because I'm just at this point, I'm just like, and I would rather you tell me if something is a safe place than tell me if something is triggering. Because I'm assuming everything's triggering at this point. Right. I want to know if it's safe.
This is made
for you.
Where
is the safe space?
Finally, something made for you. Yeah. Do you have a subject for me?
Yeah. We can actually play into this one. Honestly, I want to ask you what do you think about conventions in general? Because I think conventions. I think the idea of people meeting up for something good. Well, I guess some conventions are bad, but I'm thinking about the good ones, not like rallies or anything.
Sure.
I mean like,
there's a big difference between a rally and a convention.
Yeah, but just be clear. I'm sure there's conventions about all kinds of things, but I mean like anime, cheese, pickle, like whatever.
Right.
Pickle.
A rally is outside. A convention is inside.
Well, they're sneaky nowadays. I don't know where they're having them.
I think even if you're a bad thing and you have a convention, that's fine because you're keeping it indoors, away from me. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't have a rally, have a convention.
Yeah, but I'm thinking my point is the people that meet up because they all love the same thing.
Right.
There's something nice about that. I used to go to anime conventions all the time with my friends.
Really?
Yeah, we dressed up. It was a whole thing.
What would you dress up as?
Like we would dress in like Japanese fashion. We would dress as different anime characters.
What character?
Like,
do you remember any specific ones?
Someone from Inuyasha we did.
Cool.
We did something from like Naruto, like just basic ones.
And this was in Nashville.
Middle Tennessee Anime Convention.
Whoa!
Yeah, we would go every year. And my mom and dad took us a lot of the years. And my dad would sit in like a ghillie suit in the shrubs, you know, like where the fountain was, and scare people when they walked by. He like thought it was the best thing he has ever done in his life.
That is the most dad shit I have ever heard.
And then my mom hated being on elevators with people, and like Darth Vader and people would be in the elevator.
Imagine,
and she'd be like, get off.
Imagine him back then being like, yes, I'm going to take my alt child to an anime convention. However, I will still have dad fun here.
Oh,
you
yeah.
cannot stop me from having.
He had a great time.
I will take my child dressed like in a full kimono to this convention. However, I will be in a ghillie suit.
I mean, and then sometimes he'd be in his wheelchairs. He'd be like a rolling bush. He kept being like, I'm a tumbleweed. I'm like, oh, okay. And then my mom handled it the complete opposite. She like did a lot of like the planning and stuff, but then we get there and she like doesn't like that many people. Yeah. And there's just tons of people. So she'd be on the elevator with like Darth Vader, and he'd be like, and she was like, get off the elevator. Like my mom would just, she'd be like, make sure, because you're just shoving there at people in like Transformer costumes. Mom,
yeah.
No, all of you are riding the next elevator.
And now what is
my Italian mother?
What is your experience at an anime convention? Are you going and talking to a bunch of people? Like, are you meeting new people there, or are you kind of staying in your pod and just experiencing
There
it?
are definitely pods. Like,
yes.
I definitely went with like my friend group, and we would go and kind of hang out, because there's so much. I mean, there's like a lot. They have like raves and panels about like different shows and Japanese stuff, and you meet voice actors, and there's a huge room to buy things from like Japan, like everything you can imagine, which was like really cool at the time. And so you do kind of hang out, but then there's like game rooms and stuff where they have like the new PlayStation and you'll all be playing it. And so you meet people like in those settings, or like you get to vote like the costume thing. Like, so you do meet people, but definitely it's so funny to me how even in places like that where everyone's like a loser, quote unquote.
Yeah, not real. I mean, it sounds
right,
fun.
I'm saying like it's super fun, but I'm saying like the world I think would be like that's kind of losery, which is like whatever. And like the archetype of like high school, but which is when I went. But like a lot of people there had their own little cliques. There was like the popular kids like at the anime convention who like had the best costumes, and they were kind of mean and bitchy. And then you had like so it's like funny how those like dynamics exist everywhere. Like even if you were like at like the World National Cheese Convention, I bet there's like a cheese bitch there who's like, my cheese is the one, girl. My cows are bread and butter.
Wait, look out. It's the cheese bitch.
That's what they call her.
Get away from the cheese bitch.
They're like, there's Dairy Daisy, that asshole.
Oh, you call that curd?
Yeah, and she's like, this is a small curd cottage, and these curds are pretty large. It's very that.
Damn, I love the cheese bitch. I want to, I want to meet the cheese bitch merch. Yeah.
I just want to have string trees tassels I can pull off and eat. But yeah, we went 4 or 5 years in a row. It was so fun. And then obviously when we all went to college, it was just harder to get together and go, even though we lived right where it was. Nobody lived in Nashville where it was happening, so we could have went more, really. Right. But it's just like, it was so much fun. I just remember being like, wow, it's so nice to be in a place where like everyone thinks you're like the stuff that other people would think is weird is cool about you. And like that's what conventions are. There were like adults that had like these like I forgot what they're called, but they're like these beautiful like handcrafted like dolls, like anime dolls with like these big glass eyes, and they had like expensive, like really expensive clothes on. There'd just be tables with these like aristocratically dressed older people with their like dolls, and I'm like, that's weird in real life. But at the anime convention, you were like, they're the ones.
That is so cool.
You're like so happy for them. And then you leave, and you're like, well, now it's back to being this, Naruto toten, loser.
Oh, that must
be
so
we weren't
tough.
even like super into anime either. We just like liked it enough to go.
But I'm sure for your hometown, you were like incredibly into anime.
Oh, I was incredibly into everything from my hometown. They're like, you're too much all around.
Too much of everything.
But I just think there's something so sweet about the concept of a convention where everyone's like, we all love books. Yeah. We all love.
I love a book.
Me too. I
love reading books.
Do you?
Yeah. No.
But like, there's so many. I think there's something nice about it. Like even like the Star Wars or like Comic-Con. Like that's basically a convention, and like that's like a big convention that's kind of Hollywoody. But I'm thinking even in general, like how nice these people are gathering to collect their $400 statues.
Yeah. No. So it's funny. I do have a weird experience with conventions, considering I'm very much not a person to go to conventions. I'm like, I never like. I'm always like, that's awesome. Like I love that people enjoy that. It's just very much not my personality. But I worked catering and events for this company where they would just like contract you out. You were a contract worker, so they would be like, "Hey, we have these 2 days available. You can work XYZ, like a wedding." But
why do you not like conventions? Why is that not your personality?
it's just not my thing. Like, even for things that I enjoy, every quote unquote convention for it just does not resonate with me. Like, they have like I like watching MMA and stuff, and I really like MMA fighters, and like I get into their stories and stuff. And they have like UFC meet and greets where you get to meet the people and say hi. And I'm like, I would never in a billion years ever do that. And there's nothing wrong with the people that do. They enjoy it. It's just not my thing.
Right up your alley. Just a bunch of people in one place seems like what you love.
No, what do you mean?
You're always out with a bunch of people in one place.
Yeah, but I'm the guy. I'm always doing something. It's never to take it. It's always like I'm out doing stand up. I'm out like, whatever, going
better than
working
everyone.
out. No. This is what I'm saying. It's like I respect people who enjoy that kind of like, because they have more of a give and take than I do.
This is shocking. Oh, you're just taking.
I'm just a take guy. Yeah.
This is shocking.
Well,
I would not have thought this about you.
But I worked at this YouTube convention called VidCon.
Yeah, we know about VidCon. It's the coolest. I
worked VidCon.
Oh, wow. Too bad you didn't work TanaCon.
What's that?
We can't get into that right now.
Okay.
You look that up on your own. That's a trauma for you to have.
That's a different episode. But VidCon. So I was one of the staff people there. And
I love this.
It was really great. It was a good, because sometimes when you're working an event, like I worked a private birthday party where I was seeing all these celebrities, and it was really nice and fun. And I mean, I don't regret that situation, but it was kind of hard to work because I was like, oh, that's French Montana. Like, what the fuck? Like, so you don't know who French Montana is.
I do. I just like that that's the one that got you.
Well,
you're like, not Frenchie.
I'm not gonna. That's what they were calling him. They were calling him Frenchie.
Yeah, we know. We've read People magazine. You live in a different world, don't you? We're on different planets.
I won't put French Montana, but this is years and years ago. But French Montana was the guy who was hanging out at my bar. Like, there were bigger celebrities there, but they weren't hanging out next to me. French Montana was like hanging out next. No, there's nothing wrong.
French is weird.
Oh, there were. I'm saying like there were maybe not bigger celebrities, but there were people that I knew better. But he was just the guy who was hanging out next to me.
Were the Olsen twins there?
Part of me was like, Frenchie, you're around here quite a bit. What's up, friend? But he was very nice, and he tipped a lot.
Well, as he should. Good for him. We love that. We love him.
But when I worked VidCon, I didn't fucking know anybody.
No, who was there?
I don't.
Mamrie Hart,
like people.
Hannah Hart, Grace Helbig.
Yeah, so you could keep naming these people, and I will continue to not know. Like, yeah, Ashton Jaston was
Joey
there.
Graceffa.
Yeah, Braxton.
You really didn't know anybody there.
Braxton Johanna
Gigi
was
Gorgeous,
there.
You knew none of them.
These aren't people that you're saying.
Oh my god!
I had no idea.
Delete your YouTube account. How dare you?
No, so I was walking around. God, I wish I remembered the person's name that came up to me. But there was a guy like I was just walking around. There was a guy, and he was like, "Whoa, like what subs are you on?" And I was like, he was like kind of a big guy, like kind of a swell guy. Bad. And I was like, oh, like supplements? He was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I did just like creatine and like a multivitamin. He's like, that's crazy. Like you have such good striation. I was like, oh, thanks, dude. Like
you met Logan Paul at VidCon.
I could have been. I have no idea who he left, and then all these people. I wish I remembered the name. I could text and ask them, but they were like, "Oh my god, you were just talking to blank," and I had no idea who it was. He was jacked. He was a jacked.
I don't know who that would be.
He was an incredibly strong, light-skinned fellow.
I only knew the cool YouTuber.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
the awesome
it's such a huge world.
But it was why to see how those the children there, because most of the people who go there are like very young.
Yep, that's their fan base.
I mean, it was like they were at Disneyland. They were looking, and it's like, oh, there's Goofy, but it was just some kid with
make hella money doing that.
It was just some kid with frosted tips. You know what I mean?
We have to go on tour telling jokes. A lot of them get to go on tour and just hang out with people.
That seems like what all they were doing.
And they're booking all the theaters.
That's so funny. Yeah, that was so. Back to conventions, it's like I do respect that, but yeah, it's just so not my world in any way.
I have a black belt in karate, which I think we've talked about.
Yes, we have.
And so I used to be like the judge. I got to be one of the judges of like big karate like tournaments. I guess they weren't conventions, but they were very similar.
Yeah.
And it was like that was power I should not have been given.
Oh yeah.
People had to bow to me when you have a black belt.
Yeah.
And they have to say like Sensei Ray, like, and they have to bow to you. And then Ray also means bow, so it was Sensei Ray.
Ray.
Well, actually, my last name's Dickerson, but still.
Very funny.
But like, yeah, I mean, it was like, and
what was it like in that community for you?
I did it with my friend that did anime with me. We went every single week together.
That's so
And then her
funny.
mom is like a 5th degree black belt.
Whoa.
And so we just went. So we just talked to each other. But I mean, the people there, honestly, they were kind of rude. If I'm being honest, they took it way too serious.
They can be rude.
They acted like they changed our lives, and I was like, okay, well, I do pay you this lump sum of money every month, but I guess you did change my life. But I mean, it was really fun but I did want to quit a lot, and my parents were like, you can't quit. You've already started it, and I was like,
right,
great,
that's cool.
And so I did. That was the only thing I really stuck with, and I did it from the time I was like 10, I guess, to like 18.
Great.
And so it was really cool, I mean, in that sense. But I mean, there were definitely moments when I was like, these people are getting on my last fucking nerve.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I mean, we got to do, I mean, it's crazy how many basics I can remember, like how like the things they taught us. I just touched. But it's also crazy how many like we do like what are they called? I don't know, but they're basically like these little dances of like different movements of like blocks and stuff. There was a name for them, but I forgot it. And we used to, I mean, I could do up to like,
is it a kata?
A kata, yeah.
Is it a kata?
So I think I could do up to like 23 of those or something, but they all had different names. And like, but now I'm like, I think I just the first one at this point.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
It was super fun.
That's beautiful.
But that was a little cute convention. Did you have a topic?
Yes, I did.
I like how we just abruptly stop
in
every
good.
podcast.
It's
People
good.
are like, oh, we're done.
Hiking/camping.
I love it.
Have we done that? Have we done this topic before? I don't think so. Yeah.
I thought you were going to ask, have we ever been hiking or camping? And I was like, why do you not remember that?
I do it so much. I just forget who I go with.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just always hiking.
No, I love hiking and camping. I think it's a real tragedy. Where we live right now is so close to so many awesome spots, and so rarely do people ever go.
Well, go if you want to go.
That's what I'm saying. But they're like,
I want to go all the time. I just don't want to go alone because that's just not my vibe.
Yeah.
What if I die?
Yeah.
Who will tell the world? But it's like I want to go. My dream at all times is to get a group of people together to go camping. It's all I want to do.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I just can't do anything.
We should do that.
I want to do it so bad.
Yeah, we get Laura and Katie or whatever. That'd be fun.
I mean, well, they would definitely do it now that I think about it.
Yeah, and then the boyfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So it'll just be a bunch of couples, and then I'll come, and that'll be fun for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I want to do that so bad. I think it's so fun because I love hiking and stuff. That was the beginning of my fitness journey. Was just starting to hike every day.
Some of the best moments of my life were hiking and camping, which is kind of embarrassing to say out loud.
No, I went hiking alone on my birthday in Malibu this year.
Whoa, Malibu Creek.
I don't know what it was. It was very difficult. I did not plan ahead.
Right.
And it was so pretty and fun though. But I just went alone and did that, and I had a great time. I cried. I laughed.
There's something about like, during the pandemic where that was like the only thing you could do is like, and sometimes they closed the trails for like a big part. Mm-hmm. You know what was really funny? I would go hiking at like the height of the pandemic, and I would drive really far away and just go by myself, obviously. And you would pass people on the trail, and like sometimes they would have masks, sometimes they wouldn't, but we were outside, so whatever. But I did notice it was all definitely people who were right of center. And it was the only time, because usually hiking in LA, it's mostly like very liberal, like granola crunchy.
You're like, how are you hiking in that?
But the way, like whenever you pass someone on the trail, they would be like, oh, good morning. But you could, in their voice, it was just like Trump 2020. Like that's how it felt when they said, "What's up?"
Be a good morning. See, that's why I couldn't go hiking.
Yeah, for me or you,
they catch me during hiking that time, and I would be gone.
Oh yeah, you would have to wear a hat first off, cover that hair up.
I know. Well, this is like you know how like bicycle people have like, oh god,
oh yeah,
not to bring them up again, but you know how they wear like reflective coats?
They're gonna come at you again.
This.
You're inciting the violence once more.
I'm inciting the violence.
But no, I went hiking in Yosemite. I've gone to I've gone to like Arrowhead and all those hikes and trails. I've done 3 of the big 5, which are like mountain peaks around Los Angeles.
Are you talking about climbing mountains now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can't go from hiking to mountain climbing.
Well, they're
the same
similar. Like they don't exist in the same category.
Not the ones I hike.
That's fair.
No, I mean that's probably true. Maybe I don't know what a mountain is. I'm just like they're all hills. But I did the Arrowhead.
You see someone at the top of Everest, and you're like, "Wow, I'm like, that's the best hill climber I've ever seen."
Great hill.
Hey, nice hill.
No, it's like that makes sense to me. A mountain to me is like it's like a straight up.
Yes.
You know, a hill is like I could walk it.
You could walk a hill.
I could walk it. It's a lump.
Yeah.
So that's different to me. So people that sleep on mountains. Now I'm triggered by this because I don't like that. I don't want people to climb mountains.
Okay.
It's spooky.
It's nice.
Spooky and kooky. It's bad. And then you have to like sleep on the side of the mountain and like are you just trying to nail your bed to the side of this mountain?
I have a story for you.
Is it about someone dying?
No.
Oh.
No, it's about me and Cooper Lyden?
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy of mine. So me and Cooper, while we were still we didn't know each other too well. But I liked Cooper because I knew he was crazy, like me. So I was like, I can ask Cooper to do crazy shit that I do. And that's, if I see that in a friend, we become friends very fast. So I called Cooper. It was like, I didn't know anything about LA. I didn't know anything about the landscape or anything. And I was stupid. So I called Cooper and I'm like, hey, do you want to climb Mount Baldy? It's like a mountain, like part of the Big Five. It's like pretty tough. You could do it in a day, but it's really tough. And he was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. It was like maybe late November, early December. And I was like, oh, well, it's warm. LA is like, 60, 70 degrees sometimes. We'll be good. We drive up, and as we keep going up, so you have to drive up a little bit to get to Mount Baldy. It keeps getting colder.
Well, yeah, the altitude. That's science.
And colder. And by the time we get there, there's already snow on the ground. When we get out of our cars and we look at each other, we're wearing running shoes and jeans. We don't have hiking poles. We don't have the shoe straps, which I knew is like a super important thing. And we look at each other and we're like, well, we could go back. And we were both like together, like, we drove here. Let's fuck these people. And it became this mindset of like, because all the hikers we saw, this is the scariest thing. Everyone we saw was fucking geared up. They had so much gear. They had the shoe straps. They had the hiking poles.
They had huskies on sleds.
They had ice picks.
You saw Santa go by in a sleigh.
And we just looked at each other and we were just like, you know what? Fuck these people. We're going to climb this mountain in fucking sneakers.
Vacation's all I ever wanted.
It was the most grueling, shitty. Our feet are wet in the first like 2 minutes. It's 8 hours total of hiking.
Good wet or bad wet?
Good wet. Yeah, our feet were so horny on this hike.
Not you choking yourself.
And we get up. We get up to the peak. I'll show you the picture. It's like the funniest picture because we're both clearly like fucking delirious. It is 8 hours total of like getting up and down. By the time we get, and when we come down these mountains, people are looking at us going up in horror. They're like, what, did you guys lose your sticks? Did you lose your shoes? Like, what is going on? Why are you dressed like this? What is happening? But a woman offered me her hiking poles because she was so worried for me. We slid down this mountain. There was no hiking involved. We were like on our butts down this mountain. It was the crazy. I tell everyone, never, ever, ever hike on a whim.
Wait, how did you get to, did you Google, like, did you GPS your way there?
Yes.
And you never saw a picture that there was snow involved? Like, Google didn't show you any photos?
When I was driving up, I saw the snow. But then I was like, well, that looks like it's only maybe the later half of the hike, so we'll be fine. And it ended up being like...
So you didn't look into the mountain at all. You just saw the name of the mountain and you said, we're going.
Yes.
That's just not good planning.
No.
And Cooper, I'm sorry. Cooper's, he's very like, he's Timothy Chalamet.
Let me tell you something about Cooper, though.
How is he alive?
Let me tell you something. Horse legs.
No, I don't mean he's not strong. I mean he's very like he's built like Timothy Chalamet. Like
his upper body, his lower body is like mine. His lower body is literally my lower body's proportions. It's crazy. Look up. Follow Cooper Lyden on Instagram. Check out those haunches.
I mean, I believe that about him. He's very fit, but he's just very like small fit.
Oh, he has a powerhouse working underneath him.
But wasn't he cold? Is my point.
We were both cold.
Yeah, I bet he was cold.
We were both real. Yeah, he was probably a little colder.
That's what I thought.
But
you deserve the cold. It was your fault.
It was both of our faults. We were both idiots. But there was something.
I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah, watching our there were people giggling at us. There were people laughing at us.
That's rude. You're about to die.
As we were sliding down this mountain. But there was something kind of nice about like, yeah, fuck it. We're gonna do this. Fuck you. You know, that's kind of like a mentality that is bad if done. If you always have that mentality, you're gonna die. Like, things are very unsafe.
I don't think you should fuck you, Mother Nature. That seems bad.
From time to time, having a little bit of fuck you is kind of nice.
I mean, I guess if you want to direct it towards our Earth, you go for it.
No, it wasn't towards the Earth. It was towards the people climbing it in all the like gear, and we were like, "Fuck these people."
Fuck intelligence.
Fuck these losers.
I fucking hate intelligence. I do what I want when I want.
That's exactly what it was. It was fuck intelligence.
So
fuck
funny.
your planning. Yeah.
That's so funny.
But
Hiking, that's definitely not hiking. That's a little much for me.
No, that was.
But
crazy.
it does sound fun if you had like the gear.
If you had the gear,
It's sad how much money and gear it takes to go do anything exciting.
And it is expensive.
It's so expensive.
A good tent and a good backpack.
No, it should be a home.
Yeah,
you bought a home.
You're already in like the definitely in the thousands.
Yeah,
you're in the 2 or 3.
Especially if you want to fit in it.
Oh God, yeah.
Because, I mean, they're like this. They're like, this is a sleeping bag that hangs from a tree. $2,000. Like, oh, there's nothing over my head.
I'm
not a caterpillar.
This is something. I mean, it ties into the Chuck E. Cheese thing, where I've always had trouble.
doesn't?
I've always had trouble with my lack of indulgence, and I'll say what that means is like, even when I lived in my car, which kind of camping in a way, I very easily could have gotten a sleeping pad. But I saw the price of them, and I could have afforded it. I fucking could have easily afforded a nice sleeping pad, or like even maybe a little mattress, like a cot mattress.
But you're already in the car. What's the point?
But instead I bought this workout mat at Target for like $20, and that's what I slept on.
Well, if you decided to buy something, then that's crazy.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say I decided to just sleep in the car.
I did that for a while until I bought the
How long
Target
did you
mat.
live in the car?
It was on and off for a few months, and then I was in between the car and my friend's couch for a few months.
Wow.
But mostly couch. It wasn't that bad.
I can't believe you did that. Sometimes I think about that happening in my life, and I'm like, well,
yeah.
I don't think I can make it mentally.
I mean, the lack of sleep.
I mean, I probably could, I guess.
That's why I have so much empathy for people who are like who are in that situation of like.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Well, just like because you can conceptualize it and like you drive by and if you're like, oh yeah, that sucks or whatever. But after you've done it for like even just a couple, I mean, compared to them, it's like I had the cushiest life of all time. I would only do it in like a few days strings, and then I would sleep on a friend's couch, and I would do it for a few more days, and I sleep on a friend's couch. The lack of sleep made me crazy, and I wasn't even doing it that long. It's like I can't imagine like literally sleeping on the street or like living in your car full time. That shit is brutal on your brain.
And then when people have like no empathy for that kind of stuff, I'm just like, that could be anyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
It could. I mean, I guess there are some people that are, I guess, immune to it, but the majority of us, it could be any one of people.
You're so much closer.
Be.
You're so much closer to them than you are to like the billionaires that you idolize.
Way closer.
Yeah.
And that's like when people like act like it's just like some choice. I'm just like, are you crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer when people kind of have that mindset, but
it's gross. But what were we talking about? Oh, hiking. Yes.
Hiking.
See, we're so thoughtful.
We are.
But hiking, yeah, I do like it. I do enjoy it. What was the real deep question part
I guess do you like hiking? Do you like the act of it? And I think another thing that it does, do you appreciate that it kind of connects you to nature? Do you feel that when you hike?
I will tell you that when I was making a lot of my HRT decisions, I would hike and just bawl my eyes out.
Aww.
And be like, don't do that.
Yeah. That's cute.
I would be like, oh, I'm going to die on this mountaintop, but I feel so euphoric.
Yeah.
And then I do feel like I mean, for a long time, especially when I like lost my last job, I was like going on these hikes constantly, just like thinking and like being like, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I felt like probably the best I felt on those hikes.
Yeah.
Which is what made me want to start working out. Because I was like, well, if I were going on a hike, I could probably feel better all the time.
Right.
But in general, yeah, I mean, I love hiking. I like being outside. I mean, I grew up. That's all I ever did.
Right, that's fair. Me and my dad made a path behind our house because we had so much woods back there. So we like literally cut our own path.
Oh, I thought you said a pact. And I was like, what kind of pact?
Oh yeah, we made a pact.
You cut your hands, spit in your wound.
Yeah, to never talk to girls ever.
You've held that up.
I've held that up my whole fucking life.
That's so cute. Yeah, we had like 4-wheeler trails and like I would go out in the woods and like take a machete and like cut down trees and build like
I would do
lean-tos. Like if my dad would be like, "That's not how you build." We had to build like real ones. I was like, I just wanted to play.
It's the fucking best. Yeah, I miss that shit. We had a BB gun.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? I am so fucking happy with this fact because I don't have to live with the guilt of it. Because I carry guilt a lot. I never want, because a lot of young kids who have BB guns, and I would use it all the time, have the experience of like, oh, well, I aimed it at an animal, and then I felt really bad afterwards. I never did that.
Oh.
Never aimed it at an animal. I'm happy about that. Well, because I was such a little psycho, it's like, in my head, I'm like, oh, that is something that was within the realm of possibilities, but I never did it.
Well, we went hunting all the time, so I definitely shot animals.
But there's something nicer about that because it's like, A, it's set, and B, like, if you hit a squirrel with a BB, it's not going to fucking kill it. It's just going to, like...
that's not true.
Sometimes. You have to be a good shot.
Yeah.
But it's like, the chances of it mortally wounding that animal and just putting it in pain is so much higher.
Well, we ate the squirrels. We shot.
That's awesome.
We did. And the rabbits. Anything we killed, we ate pretty much.
This is an opinion of mine that a lot of people in LA don't like, but I very deeply think if you're in a place where there's not scarcity of animals and you hunt and you like eat that animal, like, you know, you use all the meat on it or whatever, that's almost more ethical than factory farming.
Well, I think most things are more ethical than factory farming.
Yeah, I think it's more because at least that animal gets a life out in nature before it's.
Yeah, I mean, we had a farm, so most of the things we ate were from the farm. Like,
that's cool.
Almost all of them. Yeah, almost all of them.
That's crazy.
Even vegetables and stuff.
What a life you've lived.
Yeah,
you
we used to have to plow with a mule.
From
Crazy.
the farm to an anime convention.
Oh yeah, and back again.
What a life! God damn.
I told you, wherever I am is where I belong. But wait, you said something really. Oh, have you ever shot a person with a BB gun?
No.
Like not on purpose, obviously.
No. No, I got hit with like a ricochet, but it was so light because it didn't like it wasn't hard. Wound. But wait, did you?
No, I never shot with a BB gun, but I did. I figured you would have said yes because it just felt like the energy. But then you said no, so now I'm just going to tell my crazy story.
Please.
I did one time. Was getting out of like the carpool lane going into middle school, and I had like, you know, those like regular like pins like just pop off top. Normal,
sure.
You have them everywhere. I just had one in my hand, and I like was holding it like this, and I was like, I don't even want this pin. Just so dramatically, just like threw it like in front of me, and it stuck in the girl in front of me's shin when she turned around. It was sticking out of her shin, the tip of that pin, and I was like, how would that even happen? Like, how? You explained to me how my little middle school body created enough force to stab that just perfectly, and then I was like, in my head, I was like, the first thing I thought, because my dad used to make us go out and like throw knives and stuff all the time, throw tomahawks until we could hit a certain spot.
Your dad would have you
so good.
Your dad would have you go out and throw knives and tomahawks.
Yeah, until we could hit the same spot over and over.
And it was the target looked like a girl's knee.
No, but when I did it, I was like, oh my god, this is my fault because I got good at. I thought I did it on purpose.
You're too powerful
because I was like so good at throwing ninja stars or something.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my god, and then she was like, oh my god, she just like bent down and pulled it out. Did not care at all. I was like, you're gonna get ink poisoning. You're gonna die. I thought everybody's gonna die.
A country girl can survive.
I was just like, everyone's gonna die. So I thought I had mad cow disease around that same time.
So funny.
So I was like, you're gonna have ink poisoning. You're gonna die. This is horrible for you. And she was like, it was a pin. And I was panicking. The teacher also didn't care. She just poured alcohol in it and put a Band-Aid on it. And I was like, I'm in trouble. I've hurt you. And nobody really cared but me. But in my head now, I have such a fear of like throwing anything down because I'm like, you don't know where this is gonna go.
No, I had the same reaction when I used to like when we would roughhouse as kids. Like we were doing this thing where we were just throwing a basketball at each other. You know that old kid game where you just throw a basketball at each other? Well, one person has the basketball and then everybody runs away, and then the person with the bat. There's no like real rules to the game other than once you get hit with the basketball, then you get the basketball and you get to chase kids around and whip it at them. And I whipped it at a kid way too hard in the head, and he started crying, and I started crying, and whenever
you're an empath.
Well, I just knew how to get out of trouble. No, I actually did really feel bad, and I was like, I've been fucking like, I'm so sad, and I ended up crying for way longer than the kid did. It was very funny.
That's really sweet in a weird way.
And it's more weird.
We used to get like made fun of by this kid that had a really bad speech impediment.
Oh yeah.
And he was like really mean to me. But I also have a list. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then he was like such an asshole. And so one day I made fun of the way he talked back at him. And he started crying, and then I felt so bad. But I was like, he was really calling me slurs and stuff, and I was like,
right.
And then I felt so horrible that I was like, I went and I was like, I did say that horrible thing about him.
He was calling you slurs with a slur.
Yeah. It was great. Can you understand what he was saying?
You were getting double slurred.
Yeah, I obviously splash zone, but I was like, I was just like, why are you doing this? We're in the same speech class.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
But and then I felt so bad about making fun of him, even though he was making fun of me, that I went and told him myself.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
And I was like, damn it.
Ugh.
And if I could go back, I wouldn't have told him myself.
Absolutely,
and I would have let you have it.
Yeah. Sorry, Hayden. Anything we want to... Oh, I guess Please subscribe.
Oh yeah, subscribe. Are you looking at the sky?
Well, I'm looking at.
Please.
You put us on the monitor, which is a big mistake because now I'm looking.
Oh, well, I want to make sure we're in frame. Things are getting better and better here at Basket of Cats.
This is awesome.
The longer you tune in, the better things will get. But please like, subscribe, comment,
send a
share.
nice review. Yeah,
send
be
a
nice.
review. That's very helpful.
Hey, be fucking nice.
Please.
Fuck you. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.